Yo, what up, a-holes? It's your boy, Eric Levi, the holistic a-hole, the mommy blogger with balls, coming at you here today with a new video talking about an article that I saw on the website Mercola. Let's jump into it. Titled, Beware of Nitrate-Free Organic Cured Meats. So this article caught my attention because I'm the type of person who I've been trying for a long time to make the healthy choice. And one of the first things I found out when I jumped into this health space was the danger of nitrates and nitrites in processed meats. So, of course, every study that comes out that touts the benefits of something like a plant-based diet, usually when they compare their data of the advantages of vegetables to meat, they're usually comparing it to processed meats. And so processed meats are processed because they're using things like nitrates and nitrites to cure the meat to make it last longer. Basically, nitrates and nitrites, it's sodium nitrate. It's salt. They're salting meat. And this is a practice that has been done for thousands of years, at least hundreds of years. I know as an amateur historian, when I was living in New York City, one of the things I learned was that how immigrants who lived in early New York, the way they lived without refrigeration was they used to cure and salt the meat to help it last longer. Curing has a lot of benefits, and nitrates and salting meat has a lot of benefits. Some of the benefits are that it basically prevents the formation of harmful bacteria on the meat. It sustains the longevity of the meat, so it helps it last longer. And, in some instances, maybe it helps it taste a little better. Perfect example, how good is bacon? So, we've been taught for many years that bacon will give you a heart attack. And if you're going to eat any meat, or out of all of the meats that you can eat, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, pastrami, salami, all the deli meats, they're the ones that are going to kill you because they're the ones that are full of nitrates and nitrites. So now when you go to Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or one of these stores that's more on the woke side of things, what you're going to see nitrate-free deli meats, and instead of using nitrates, and sodium nitrite specifically, what they're using is celery powder, right? And that's what this article basically talks about. So, the argument they make in this article is that if you're trying to avoid nitrates, the nitrate-free stuff is actually worse than the bacon and the sausage with nitrates, okay? And we've actually known this for a long time because the highest source of nitrates actually come from vegetables. Dark leafy greens have the highest quantities of nitrates you're going to find in food, okay? This is a little funky right here. Let me see if I can move it over a little bit. Nitrates in leafy green and vegetable intake. And so, what this study does is it goes through, just all of the different vegetables that you're going to find that have high rates of nitrates in them, okay? So this study specifically looked at lettuce, spinach, kale, chard, cabbage. All of these vegetables have a lot more nitrates and nitrites than bacon. So if you're in this, kind of woke processed meat, trying to stay healthy camp, and your alternative to eating bacon and sausage is instead to eat chard and kale and spinach and lettuce, well, I hate to break it to you, but you're actually getting more nitrates than you are in the bacon that, let's be honest, you loved so much. How miserable are you when you're not eating bacon? How miserable are you when not only are you not eating bacon, but somebody around you is eating bacon? How annoying is it when you wake up in the morning, usually Sunday morning, and you smell some bacon down the hall in your apartment building, and you just start getting all those memories back when you were a happy, well-nourished, regular person who wasn't going out of their way to just eat vegetables all the time because you watched a stupid Netflix documentary. Well, good news. you can actually have your bacon. It's actually okay. Because we're being told that bacon is not just bacon, but processed meats in general, salami, pastrami, hot dogs, these cured meats are all carcinogenic. In fact, there's been quite a bit of research that's been done that has disproven that, okay? One such meta-analysis is this one right here. Dietary nitrates, nitrites, and nitrosamine intake and the risk of gastric cancer, a meta-analysis, where they basically break down a number of studies that included over 500,000 patients and, kind of looked at all of the results from these studies, the methods they used to conduct these studies. What they found was that consumption of food rich in nitrates was related to a decreased risk of gastric cancer. In the present study, high nitrate consumption demonstrated a protective effect for gastric cancer in line with other previous studies. Pretty amazing for a chemical that has been demonized for so long in a study that actually was not funded by the meat or dairy industry. So, as I was going through the research on this, I kind of began to think like, well, why are we being told then that nitrates and nitrites are in fact carcinogenic? And when you start looking at a lot of those studies that say that things like bacon will kill you, that bacon's going to give you cancer, that nitrates and nitrosamines are going to give you cancer. Well, nitrosamines are carcinogenic, but you have to understand that when it comes to something like nitrosamines, it's not because nitrosamine, the macronutrient itself, or the nitrate itself is carcinogenic. It is carcinogenic when it turns into a nitrosamine, usually because you cook your bacon too much. If you heat it too much, if you burn it, if you char your meat on a grill and you give it those little char marks, if you overcook it, if you burn stuff, then you start getting nitrosamines formed. Those, yes, are carcinogenic. And we know nitrosamines are carcinogenic because we have studies that come out that say they're carcinogenic, like I'll show you this one here. Exposure to high concentration of nitrosamines and cancer mortality among a cohort of rubber workers. So what they did in this study was they studied rubber workers who were exposed to high levels of nitrosamines. And what they found was, surprise, the nitrosamines caused cancer of the esophagus, oral cavity, and pharynx. But it did not increase mortality for cancers of the stomach or the lung. So this is where things start to get real interesting, because we're being told that the nitrosamines, that the whole reason we need to avoid nitrates is because it turns into nitrosamines and then gives us colorectal cancer or gastric, stomach cancer, when in fact, this study right here shows us that nitrosamines did not in fact give you cancer that they're telling you the cancer gives. It gives you a whole other cancer. Nobody who's eating, who's eating a diet full of bacon and sausage, bacon and sausage, none of these people are getting cancers or afraid of cancers of the mouth or esophagus. Nobody is looking at somebody eating bacon like that guy's going to get mouth cancer. No, that's not what happens in this world of eating bacon. We're told that it gives you colorectal cancer, but there's no data on it. There's real weak associations, So we're being told that, that a study like this is going to tell us processed meat and colorectal cancer, a review of the epidemiologic experimental evidence. Now, this will go through, and we'll tell you, hey, these meats, these processed meats, these nitrites and nitrates are linked to, the colorectal cancer. It's going to give you colorectal cancer. But then, what they tell you at the bottom of the study is that the fact that processed meat intake increases colorectal cancer seems established from published meta-analyses of epidemiological studies. However, the evidence is weak. They don't even trust their own evidence. They're just saying this because there's associations. The same way that if you drive a car, people who drive cars, or I should say, car accidents and deaths from car accidents are associated with driving a car. Okay? It's the same problem. Okay? Sometimes, yes, people who eat bacon can get colorectal cancer, but it doesn't mean that the bacon gave them the colorectal cancer. Okay? There's no cause and effect relationship here. There's just really weak associations taken from epidemiological evidence, which in itself is not the most effective way to try to understand if a specific nutrient is going to have a specific effect. And again, we know this. We know this because if nitrates and nitrites actually did give you cancer from processed meat, nitrates and nitrites themselves, if they were carcinogenic, then all the vegans and vegetarians who are touting the plant-based diet would have colorectal cancer because the amount of nitrates and nitrites in leafy green vegetables are much higher than they are in processed meats. So one other thing you got to understand here too is that when we talk about nitrates and nitrites, not only, you start to see some studies that say that they do have some beneficial effects. And you're like, how does that even happen? It's because nitrates actually break down in the body into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It's a very important compound that's made every single day in every single one of your cells. And it, again, helps the flow of blood in your body. So if you want to lower your blood pressure, one of the best things you can do is get nitric oxide. Okay, some people take it in supplement form, and some people get it through, dark leafy greens with nitrates and nitrites, or I guess you can get it from bacon. So really, how is bacon raising your blood pressure if it's got the compound in it that actually is responsible for lowering your blood pressure? So there's a lot of questions I have when it comes to trying to worry about, do I need to look for nitrate-free organic cured meats? Fuck that. I'm eating bacon, bitch. Real bacon. Not the Trader Joe's nitrate-free celery powder garbage. Eat the real stuff. Be a man or a woman man. Whatever you want to be. Be it, but eat the real stuff. Don't keep eating stuff that you think is healthy and really isn't doing anything for you. So let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a big thumbs up, and make sure you keep watching the channel because we got videos coming out every single day, baby. I'll catch you on the next video. Have a great day. Peace.